care. Tom Thayer joining us on the Yingling guest hotline. How upset were you once they came back? Like, I heard you were not happy in real time, but once they came back, were you even more mad at Jeff?
I just didn't want him to, throw the ultimate jinx. And I was a little bit nervous about it because I saw what Joe Flacco was doing and, how he was taking advantage of things. And I'm going, I was a little nervous when they had 17 seconds left on the clock. And I figured, in that 17 seconds, you get two completions or pass interferences or a miraculous catch where they stay on their feet. Because you saw the one was a T. Higgins that stayed on his feet and made the touchdown. And you see Colston Loveland stay on his feet and make the touchdown. So those types of plays were haunting me. And I was just going, look, when we get out of here and the Bears win, then we're all good. Don't start, anointing the winners with this much time left.
Where did
Tom, it's been.
I'm sorry. Oh, Waddle. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's been some lean years in the booth recently. You haven't had a whole lot of positive things to actually witness. There does seem to be a little bit of extra giddy up with both of you there. Can you feel an enhanced level of enthusiasm because you believe in so much of what you're watching these days?
Yeah, all of us, all the three of us here, we've seen a lot of these games that the Bears would not come back. They would not have the attitude, the mentality, the wherewithal to, come out of the locker room in the second half and get things done or get things done late in the fourth quarter. Now, other than the Dallas game and the New Orleans game, we've seen these guys, have the comeback, attitude about them, and we've all walked away from the games happy, and you walk away with angst when you win them in that last second, but you sure walk away happy than the way it could be if it didn't go our way.
Jeff told us that it was the craziest game he's done, just a smidge in his words, better than the Crownham game against the Arizona Cardinals in 2006. Was that the craziest Bears win you've been a part of? From a broadcasting standpoint?
Yeah, it's right up there, because I think we were all aware of what Flacco's been doing in the last couple of weeks with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Chase Brown and the rest of that offense, and the vulnerabilities that the Cincinnati Bengals that they've had on defense and where this offense is going for the Bears. And you take all that stuff into account, you don't have those types of expectations before the game, but you know that this game could have some big numbers attached to it, and it certainly did that.
Tom, Sylvia and I both want to know why the dramatic improvement from Darnell Wright. There's a ton of potential there. We know that. He's a good football player. Why and how has he taken his game to the next level?
It could be everything from kind of the ultimatums that they've given him, and it's been, Ben has talked about him, from the podium. And I probably a belief in what Dan Rochar is bringing to this offensive line meeting room, his seriousness of his approach, his coaching. I think, when you bring in veterans like Drew and Jonah and Joe, I think some of that stuff and their experiences rub off on these guys. And Darnell has hit the ignition switch. He is playing and practicing at a more physical style of play. It's carrying it out into the field. And it's kind of weird how it all coincides when he came out, with that bad elbow. And I don't know if he says, okay, I got to start playing a powerful brand of football because I don't know if I can sustain my blocks as long as I need to. So if I'm more physical at the initial contact, maybe I can stay in control of the block. And I like what he's been doing. And, from the 4th and 1 play that he had last week, which was one of the most dominant blocks that I've seen. But, he's repeating it. He's doing it regularly on whether it's the outside zone type of plays or even point of attack. And there's a couple things, too. If you look at when they have put Ozzie Trapillo in, and they'll move from one side to the other, that also shifts the defense and it puts them in a more blockable position. And you look at the double teams between Ozzie and Darnell, or if he goes to the other side, how Jonah Jackson and Darnell, they're much more powerful point of attack double teams that's affecting the second level, that's allowing whomever it is, Swift or Monungai or Britton Brown for that matter, that all these guys are having a running start for 3.5 yards, 4 yards into the point of attack, that they're allowing to get 6 to 7 yards and sometimes beyond with the way these guys are working up front.
How would you rotate the running backs this weekend? DeAndre Swift had the groin injury, and he was working his way back. He was full yesterday, but he was out today for a personal matter. We don't know what's going to happen. He's listed as questionable on Sunday. But if he is active, with Monungai coming off of that game and knowing that Swift didn't play last week and didn't practice fully all week, where would you go with the way you would balance the carries?
Okay, I'm not afraid of Britton Brown either. I like the way that guy is training camp, the way that Eric Bieniemy has, given him the coaching, the confidence, and what you want to expect out of the running back position in its totality. So even if all those three guys are ready, I would give these guys, even touches if that's the way Ben Johnson sees his type of play calling. Does he believe that any one of these guys had an advantage in any aspect, whether it's outlet receiver, blitz pickup, running screens, or running outside zone plays, which they all seem to do really well? My only concern going into this game is Dexter Lawrence. And he's 340 pounds, and he lines up on the head of the center. That really changes the impact the interior running game is going to have this week. And so if you feel that you don't have access to the middle, and that's one body to the right and one body to the left of Dexter Lawrence, and you have to run more outside zone plays, sometimes that's more exhausting for the running back. So sometimes it's more exhausting for the offensive tackles, the tight ends, and the receivers that get involved in those types of blocking. So if I had the luxury of having running backs like that I could keep fresh, and I could challenge Thibodeau, and I could challenge all the exterior, Brian Burns and all these guys, their willingness to put up with the point of attack to that outside, I would, I'd be happy with running all of them evenly.
Tom, after what we witnessed in the first 2 weeks of the season, if I told you after that Lions game that 6 weeks later, or 7 weeks with the bye, that the Chicago Bears would be the second best rushing attack in all of the National Football League, averaging 144 yards per game, what would you have told me at that point?
I would believe that they were going to be good. I just take that Lions game out of it because the Bears were only at the beginning stages of trying to learn how this offense is going to work with everybody involved in the mix. And with that environment, it can take so much of your efficiency away just because of how loud it is and how dysfunctional it can make your snap count. I wish that the Bears' running game was more effective against the Minnesota Vikings week one, and I do think that this running back can be sustainable. And the better that Caleb gets at throwing the ball, I think the more threatening you can become running the ball. But now we're going to have, this is going to be the biggest climate change game that we've seen so far this year. And sometimes you have to take a lot of that into account and see how players react towards 30-degree temperatures with wind gusts up to 31 than the comfortable confines of an inside stadium or a warm weather team.
Where is Caleb in his development, in your opinion, right now, Tom?
I think, if this was the midterm, consider it's a midway point in the season, I think he's, at a rising C, because I think that I mean the C grade, not C level. Right. I think it's just I think that he is just his like Ben said at the beginning of the season, he wants to see this team and their arrow pointed up the whole way. He knows that he's going to have some ups and downs along the way, but I do think that Caleb is exactly where you would think he would be in the learning stages of a difficult terminology and, making sure that he keeps all the weapons engaged. And, he did it. He's continuing that process. But what's going to be interesting to see after this Giants game is next week Minnesota is the first common opponent, two-time opponent of the year. So what did you learn from the first time around? And I know it's going to be a ugly environment in Minnesota, but what can you take from what you learned week one into the second time you play a division team?
Tom, I'm going to ask you a question. I know you're going to get angry with me for even asking it because nuance is necessary truly to answer the question. But right. I want a yes or no answer from you, okay? Are the Bears a good football team?
Yes.
Why?
Because I think their willingness to make changes on the offensive line early in the season. Theo Benedette is giving them a much better chance to even out the running game and the passing game, the point of attack. He's improving along the way. Fundamentally, he's getting better. We all know what Darnell Wright is doing. Colston Loveland is starting to catch up to where you really wanted him to be at the midway point. I do think that the receivers are coming along and they're playing an important role. I just have a tremendous amount of faith in where Ben Johnson is at and what he means to this being a better football team. I do think that for games last year that I thought there was no chance of them coming back, I have belief whether they go in to the locker room at halftime down a touchdown or they're up 2 touchdowns. And I do think that the defense is starting to show some growth. Yeah, I think the defensive line's got to play a better brand of football in this second part of the year. But I do think they're a good football team.
All right, I have a yes or no question. Nuance always plays a role, but I just want you to answer yes or no.
Okay.
Are you wearing long underwear to this game?
Of course not.
Yeah, you
that'd be a no.
When I turn to the long underwear, like I will do on Sunday, because we sit outside. You guys are just in the booth. You frown upon the long underwear play. Why is that?
I don't frown upon it. Listen, if it got that cold, and I'm sure there will be a game that maybe I will. I don't know. I think it's just more of giving you a hard time like the little brother I never had.
That's right.
Do you enjoy, as a player, Tom, going back in time, did you enjoy these cold weather games or were you miserable like everybody?
No, but this really isn't a cold weather game. I just think it's just the biggest transformation because you think going out to practice this week and it's in the mid-50s or upper 50s, it's super comfortable. And then you go out there and you come out, you get to the stadium and it's in the 30s, you come out to warm up, and then, like I said, there's, a possibly wind gust up to 31 miles an hour. If you win, it gets warmer. If you're losing, it gets colder. And that's the way it is. Just, you're the same way.
But go back in time. Like, let's say the weather's worse than it's going to be on Sunday. Like, it's just bitter cold and the field is hard. Like, did you like those environments, or would you rather play in the warm weather?
I would rather play in cold than warm because I was a profuse sweater and it would just come out of me like, my shoes would be squishing by halftime. I would be absolutely soaked. And I even remember sitting in a chair in Miami or Tampa and I got up and I left a puddle behind. And Jay goes, I've never seen a person sweat as bad as you.
Would you change socks at halftime?
No.
Oh, wow.
Never. Because I had my socks on. I was spatted over my shoes.
Yeah.
It was it was in place. I was ready to roll for the 3 hours.
All right. Well, that's great stuff. Tom, we will see you at Soldier Field on Sunday. Thank you.
Thanks,
Be there
Tom.
early.
Yeah, I know. You always are. Can't
See you
beat
guys.
Thayer there. That's for sure. Tom Thayer brought to you by UI Health. Exceptional care for you. To learn more, visit uihealth.com.